So I just want to show you a couple of ways, a few ways actually, to how to do exercise number 5, where we had the two lights blinking back and forth at two different speeds. So maybe I'll say the slow speed, which is really half a second. So just going back and forth a half a second, and then for about 5 times, and then after that, maybe going back faster, maybe at 0.2 seconds. For about 15 times, and then going back to the slow again for 5. So that sort of repetition. So I have a code here that sort of was from that exercise from the first one, where we just got the lights going back and forth. So just to review the code here, I created a couple of constants, a couple of variables for the red light and green light. Again, I like the idea of things being on and off, so I sort of set variables for on and off, set them to high and low respectively. And here I created a variable for the delay time. So when we call the delay function or the delay command, it specifies a number that we give it, which is for a number of or milliseconds. So in this case, we want 500 milliseconds, which is approximately half a second. In our setup, we're defining what the pins are set to. So in this case, the green light and the red light, they are output. And just to start off, I'm going to just turn both lights off. Then within our loop or our main code, what we have is, so this one is pretty simple in terms of we turn the green light on and the red light off. And then we're going to delay for that half a second, and then we're going to turn the green light off and have the red light on. Yes, for a fraction of a second, both lights were off, but to the naked eye, it's probably not hard to tell that actually both lights are off because this is happening so fast. It's important that we have a delay at the end of our loop, because if we don't, after we turn the red light on, the code is going to go back to the top of the loop, so back up here, and immediately we're going to turn the green light on and the red light off. So if you experiment commenting out this delay, when you actually run your Arduino, the green light will be constantly on. You can almost see it at a really quick glance that it's kind of the red light's flickering. So at one time it's really turning on. So right here in the code, it's going to turn on, but then immediately later on, it's going to turn the green light on and the red light off. So that's where you have that flicker, and here we want the delay. So one obvious solution to go and do this is to cut and paste this code. So here is the code to do it once. And we may say, so I'm going to just copy and paste this code and take out the comments, because this is something that we want to repeat 5 times. So here is the first one. So this is time number 2, and maybe I'll put a comment up here just for me to keep track of what's going on. So this is number 2, and then go off and cut and paste this code because I want to do this 5 times. So here, number 3, number 4. Oh, I got 2 twice, so that's number 3, number 4, and number 5. So that'll do the slow blink 5 times. And then here, we could cut and paste this code again. And we could do one of 2 things. So here's the first one. Here we could either change delay time to be 200. And there, we're going to go back, and now we're going to delay for 200. If we're going to do this, we have to make sure that if at the very top again, when we come back to the loop, we have to reset the delay time to be 500. I prefer a different method. I'm actually going to create 2 different variables. So in this case, I might say slow delay time. I'm going to change that variable from slow delay time. And here I'm going to say another variable, fast delay time. And I'm going to say that's 200. So we have to change our variables inside here now. Instead of doing the delay time, we're going to do slow delay time. Likewise down over here for number 2. Number 3. Number 4. And then finally number 5. So because we're using our 2 variables, I don't need this one anymore. But what's happening is that instead of doing delay time, now I'm going to do the fast delay. Maybe I should call them short and long, but here we're going to do the fast delay, thinking that we want the lights to blink fast. So that's my rationale for that variable name. So here I want to do this 15 times. So guess what? Yes, I'm going to paste this 14 times. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So let me just count backwards, make sure I got everything. 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, one little space there, and there's 2. So we got there 15 times. I should have said this at the beginning. I actually started a new project or program called Siren with loops, because eventually I'm going to show how you do with loops. And I just started off with the other from exercise number 3 when I had the lights blinking. So I just copy and paste that code in. So let me compile this, see if it works. And it looks like the compile is successful. So let's upload it to Arduino and let's see what that looks like. So I'm uploading it, and there it goes. So there goes slow. And then if I'm counting it's 5 times, and now it's going fast. Too fast for me to count, but hopefully that's going to be 50. And then it's going back to slow. There it is going fast now. And count that. It could be 15 times. I trust my code. If I copy and paste it 15 times, it's going to be 15, and there's going back to slow. So it's just going to keep looping through this, and that's how we do it. So hopefully, as I was doing this, as you're doing this, you're kind of thinking there's got to be a better way. So there also is the notion of loops in the C program, obviously. We've done this in Python, and I'll show you how to do this in C code as well. So we did a while loop in Python, and basically it follows the very same concepts that we've done. So we're going to use a while loop to count. So here, let's going to remove that code. So I'm going to remove this code as well. So we just really want to write this code once. So maybe here I'm going to put a comment here. This is going to be the fast blinking. And maybe over here, this is for slow blinking. So we want to count 5 times to do this, to do the slow blink. So we need a counting variable. So in this case, I'm going to put a variable over here. I'm going to say int. Again, I'm going to name my variable as a counter. And what is that I want to start counting with? I want to start counting at 1. And then we're going to have a while loop. So while counter, in this case, is less than or equal to, and I want to count up to 5. Then I'm going to indent all this code. So one important thing to know that in C code, the indentation is not required, unlike in Python. I do want you to maintain that habit of indenting code so that here we could actually see what's being repeated. So in this case here, we want to repeat all that code, and then we just have to make sure that we increment counter by 1. So in C, there's a nice cool way to say you want to increment the value of a variable by 1. It's with a plus plus operator. So in this case, counter will start at 1, and then it'll go to 2. This will increment by 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. So this will do this 5 times. Oh, I need a delay in there as well. So I should have repeated delay. So let me just add that at the end of this. So I really want to indent all of that. Got thrown off because there was an extra line in there. And in this case, I want to do the counter at the very end after this delay. Now I want to count 15 times. So I'm going to reset my counter variable. So notice that here I don't need the int in front of it. So that's kind of really important. And that the int is what we call defining a variable. We only define that once. If you want to maybe make this less confusing, what I teach in grade 11 is we define all the variables at the very beginning. So maybe I could do int counter up here, and then we could just set counter to 1 over here. So that might make the code a little bit less confusing if we're not used to C. So here we're going to set counter back to 1. And So maybe I'll put that comment up top, because really that's the whole thing afterwards. The loop is we make it the fast blinking, and then we'll introduce a while loop. So while in this case counter is less than equal to 15. So notice I should have mentioned up at the loop at top, we used a curly brace in C to sort of group the code that we wish to loop, or inside our while loop. The same thing applies to an if condition, although we haven't done an if condition yet, but we could later on. So here we want to indent all that, and again we want to increase our counter by 1, so just a plus plus, and then we're going to end our loop. So here, let's just make sure I didn't do any typos. Oops, I meant to compile it, but that's okay. Look like it's going, it's uploading, and the program or lights work exactly the same as it did before. So there it is, flashing fast. It's going back to slow and back to fast. And while computers are stupid, one thing I know is that they're going to do things very accurately based on what they do. So they're going to count accurately as well. I know for sure that it's going to do it 5 and 15 times. Before I sort of end this part, I just want to add in one last thing. In order to make a program a little bit more robust, it would be ideal if we actually created variables for the number of times that this is blinking. So it's not set to 5 or 15. If we want to change how it kind of appears, this is going to be much easier for us to do if we introduce some variables. So maybe in here I'll do, in this case I'll do a constant, because I don't want it to change. Constant num times slow, that might be 5, and const int num times fast, and that might be 15 times that we want. Now that I think about it, maybe I'm going to make those two variables constant as well, because I don't want the delays to change within my program. So it should be consistently half a second or 200 seconds. And let's go back to our code, and here I'm going to change that to num times slow, which is 5, and then over here I want to loop to num times fast. So let's compile this. Let's make sure I didn't make any typos. Good. So let me upload it. And when I upload it, I'll show you that the code or the Arduino is still doing what it should. So the lights turn off as it's starting up, and there it goes, slow 5 times, and then fast 15. So the cool thing about this is that while I'm here just to play around a little bit, I can change if I'm not liking how that looks. Maybe I can change the slow time. Maybe I want things a little bit faster. So well, maybe that's the 300, and maybe the fast delay might be 50. And the slow times I want to do this maybe 10 times, and the fast times I want to maybe do 30. So this is a nice thing about variables. So just go back to the very top and sort of just change those values, and let's see what that kind of looks like. So here it's going 300, which doesn't know that bit. Oh, look at that. When we do it for half a second, it's like going really back fast and forth. And 30 times, I couldn't even count that. But I'm going to trust that it actually did it 30 because of that's what our loop says. Okay. So in my next video, I'm going to show us how to do this actually without a loop, which is kind of interesting.